Because I have Mark Gestoni, who's on. He's the president and CEO of SAP National Security Services, and it's all about this battle with Apple and the government. What is it really about, Mark? Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. Hey, this is a really thorny issue. I mean, there's passionate beliefs on both sides, but I mean, ultimately, I think there'll be an accommodation. I mean, Apple does not want to be in a battle with the government. The government really doesn't want to be in a battle with an iconic firm like Apple. So, I mean, we have evolving technology. Encryption is allowing for better and more protected privacy, and that's creating, more issues for those that may sometimes believe they need to get at that technology.
So it really, I mean, I was saying just a second ago, and it's been very heated here in studio about this issue. Not only the people calling in, but people sitting here in the studio. So, but I really believe this is more of a business issue. So Apple has a business plan, and it's post the NSA controversy. And they're saying the government has been ordering us to turn over information. They won't be able to order us to turn over information if we don't have it. So they drafted software that put them in a position where even they didn't have the information. So now they can say to the government, hey, we'd love to give it to you, but we can't. And so the government is going back and really asking them to rewrite their business plan and rewrite their code. Isn't that really what this is about? And aren't we headed to the Supreme Court anyway on this thing?
I don't think so. That's an interesting perspective, and I can see how you can make that argument. I think encryption, privacy has always been important to Americans. And privacy is important beyond just an individual perspective on these devices. And so what Apple has been doing is it's evolved its capabilities in its iOS and other encryption capabilities, not just Apple's, is to make it more difficult to get into these things. Right. So they're just doing that, and over time, it may be almost impossible to get into them theoretically if the technology continues to evolve. But I do believe that, Apple, Tim Cook, and others are great Americans as well. And if you saw this morning, there was a Wall Street Journal report suggesting that Cook actually suggested that there be a commission to study this. So I think we're starting to see the groundwork for resolution. And, the companies have worked with the government for years on important matters like this. And this one became very public largely because I believe FBI and Justice kind of pushed this one because of the San Bernardino angle. And because Apple has struggled with this, and it is not so easy as it might have been to help a few years ago. But I think we'll come to an accommodation. I really do. So you
don't see this going all the way to the Supreme Court?
No, it's not good business. You mentioned the business plan. It is not good business. And look, rational people, we'll get it off the front pages and the front radio station airwaves here in the next couple of weeks, and things will become a little more quiet, and I think there'll be a resolution. I really do.
Yeah. How long will it before somebody, quote unquote, bad figures out a way to hack the phone or to hack their computer or to hack something to create code that Apple doesn't know, that the government doesn't know, and only they have this encryption that we can't get into, the government can't get into, the maker of the phone can't get into? I mean, don't you think that's coming?
That's what that's a great question, and that's why Apple really doesn't want to get into the business of developing code, because once you make a piece of code, it's very hard to keep it in a sanitized environment where it can't be exploited by someone like an adversary. So obviously, there's always that possibility, but our companies in Silicon Valley are pretty darn good. Okay,
yeah.
And they're evolving the capabilities of phones and other devices beyond phones to protect them. So there's always that threat. It's a measured countermeasure game. But I think what Apple is concerned about, beyond the privacy issue, is, hey, do we want to start creating code that potentially could get in the wrong hands?
Right.
And let's, the other thing that I think we need to keep in mind here, this is beyond just phones. Let's flash forward, say you have me back on in 5 years, and now we're in the Internet of Things, and my house and your house is being controlled. Now all of a sudden,
or your car.
Somebody wants to know what wants video feed from my house. So these are things that this is a very important policy discussion, actually, and it's kind of good it's come to a head.
And remember, we're talking about drones. We're talking about cars that are being driven through software, or even today, your car today is. We just saw on 60 Minutes where a hacker could shut down a vehicle today based on the technology that already exists in the vehicle. I mean, this security and people not being able to hack into it is something that is gaining importance every day as we move forward.
Absolutely correct, and that's why this rather public debate and hysteria to some degree over the last week will settle down, and we have great companies and we have strong leaders in a lot of parts of the government. I do believe that everybody understands the end game here needs to be about creating a controlled capability and process to do certain things on the one hand without allowing for the downsides and negativities if code were to get out in the public domain or somewhere where it can be exploited.
Mark Gestoni, CEO of SAP National Security Services, thanks for coming on this morning. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.